Hello! We're talking about imperfect today, and I am going to attempt to keep this short and sweet. That's hard for someone like me who gets really chatty, but here we go. Imperfect. Look at the name. What's the name tell you? Well, basically, what it means by imperfect is that something wasn't perfected or completed in the past, or it was ongoing or kind of vague, so not perfect. The time frame isn't perfect. So that's kind of what can help you remember it meaning-wise. We use imperfect for things that were, again, ongoing, not completed, recurring over time. So think about background information, how old you were in the past, what color your house was, who your friends were, what activities you like to do. Those kinds of things are imperfect. So when you're telling a story, you kind of have the background and then you have the events that transpire. The events that transpire would be preterite. So you already have some knowledge of preterite. That's more of like your simple events, whereas imperfect is more of this vague ongoing stuff. Endings is everything that's in green. So for AR verbs, aba, abas, aba, abamos, and aban are your endings for every AR verb. So I give you mirar, you know it's miraba, mirabas, miraba, mirabamos, miraban, and so on. Notice the accent on the nosotros form, and don't forget that it's the syllable that comes before the B. That's where you put the emphasis. So parábamos, mirábamos, trabajábamos. For ER and IR, the endings are the same. So they're ia, ias, ia, iamos, and ian. There are accents on every I. Every ending has an accent on the I. So make sure to write in all of those accents because they are part of the spelling. If you didn't have the accent, it would totally change the pronunciation. So instead of mantenía, you would get mantenía, mantenía. It would blend. It would be a diphthong versus a hiatus. So having that accent makes it into two distinct syllables, ia, ia, whereas without the accent, it would go ya. So the accent is important. So for regular, you just have two things to memorize, AR endings and then ER, IR endings, which are the same. Easy. So any verb I throw at you, tener. Tenía, tenías, tenía, tenimos, tenían. Salir, salía, 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 salíamos, salían. And you get the idea. Irregulars, ir, ser, and ver. Ir to go, ser to be, and ver to see. Iba, the way that I remember, is that it acts like an AR verb, so it has a B. So iba, ibas, iba, ibamos, and iban. It even has that accent before the B, just like in AR verbs. Ser, era, eras, era, éramos, and eran. Again, notice your accent. And then ver, veía, veías, veía, veíamos, and veían. The thing that's irregular about ver, notice that ser is just goofy. There's not really a reason behind that. Ver is irregular because you keep the E. So normally when you conjugate a verb, you drop the R and the letter before that. With ver, you keep the E and then you put on the regular ER, IR ending. So that's why those three are irregular. So you memorize those, you memorize the endings. That's 5 things. Once you memorize those 5 sets of information, you're done memorizing all the conjugations. You can do this in like a day. You just hit the flashcards, hit Quizlet, whatever you need to do to get those in your brain. Going back to sort of the meaning, ongoing by ongoing, for example, we mean things like I was watching TV when he got home. Watching TV is considered ongoing because I'm not saying how long I was watching it. I'm just saying when he got home, I was still watching it. So I could have turned the TV on 5 minutes ago, or I could have been watching TV all day. So, veía la televisión cuando él llegó a casa. Llegó is preterite. Why? Because arriving home is an event, whereas watching the TV is my ongoing thing. Recurring, so things like I used to is pretty much always going to be imperfect because it's something that happened multiple times in the past, but I'm not saying how many times or when exactly. So I went swimming a lot, yo nadaba mucho. Incomplete, for example, if you're doing something for a while but it never actually gets done. So I worked on my homework for many hours but I didn't finish it. I know that feeling as a grad student. So trabajaba en mi tarea muchas horas, pero no lo terminé. Again, if you look at terminé, that's preterite because finishing something is an event, whereas working on it is more of an ongoing state. So memorize these endings, memorize these irregulars. And then the take-home message with imperfect is that it's not perfected or completed in the past. It's ongoing or repeated a lot of times.